and welcome to the Author Roundup, a special segment of the Book Connection Show where we meet up and coming indie authors and talk to them about their recently released books.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Author Roundup. I'm your host, Jenny. Today's episode centers on a gripping military thriller that takes readers deep into the world of covert operations, intelligence agencies, and hidden enemies operating from within. Exigent Measures, the Head of the Serpent, continues the ongoing story of Jubal Chain as he and his team work to uncover a treasonous terrorist cell threatening the nation's security. Our guest today is a twice retired professional based in Las Vegas, Nevada. His experience spans military service, real estate development, education, and coaching before eventually turning to fiction writing. He's also the author of Best When Served Cold, the first novel in the Jubal Chain series. Please join me in welcoming D.A. Dawson to the Author Roundup. Hi, Mr. Dawson. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here and nice to meet you.
hmm So excited to ask you about or talk to you about your book. For those who are new to the Jubal Chain series, can you tell us what Exigent Measures, the Head of the Serpent, is all about?
Well, first of all, the storyline actually centers around exploring and discovering a terrorist cell that is embedded in a United States military agency, the
Mhm.
Defense Intelligence Agency. You know, throughout our history, we have had many terrorists and traitors to our country. This takes it a step farther. These are not homebred. These are people that are manufactured
Mhm.
from without and are embedded in our agencies in order to disrupt our military efforts.
Okay, so I know this is the second book in the series. Who is Colonel Jubal Chain, and where do we find him at the start of this book?
Jubal Chain is a very well experienced and decorated warfighter
Mhm.
who was called back to active duty by his former commander.
Mhm.
He has just completed a very perilous mission and has survived several attempts at assassination.
Mhm.
He is now tasked with his small group to an even higher situation of threat to uncover and to eliminate the internal threat that is posing, drastic problems to our military efforts in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I see. So, Mr. Dawson, you mentioned that he is facing a threat. Now, what kind of threat is Jubal facing in the story, and why is it so dangerous?
Well, it's dangerous because the plans of our military are being leaked, and it's resulting in thousands of American lives lost, including some of our allies and some of the innocent civilians in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. There was a power vacuum that was created there because of the elimination of Saddam Hussein. And so, consequently, that power vacuum has been taken over with these terrorist organizations. Consequently, if they are getting the inside information in order to destroy our people and our plans, then that is something that is absolutely severe and we have to stop it.
So, you mentioned insider information. So, this book deals with infiltration inside the Defense Intelligence Agency. What drew you to that kind of internal threat storyline?
Well, I've always found that the national security is extremely important to patriotic Americans and to the length that some people will go to disrupt that. And that's what this that deals with. Now we're dealing with people from external forces that are infiltrated into internal organizations for the sole purpose of destroying the United States.
Okay, so Mr. Dawson, once readers would understand the plot, I know it's action packed and it deals with, infiltration and all that. What deeper message do you hope readers would take from the book?
Well, I hope they take away a better understanding of the workings of the military and appreciation of those who go the extra mile to provide security for all of us. Many people have not experienced military service, and some are not really uh, understanding of
Mhm.
what goes in behind the actions that are the ones that we use to protect our nation.
Okay, so I'm sure that that will happen because your book really shows us what happens with these kinds of operations, and the your character Jubal is very much easier to relate with, despite the fact that some people might not know a lot about military operations. So your story also explores loyalty, betrayal, duty, sacrifice, and patriotism. Which of those themes was most important to you while you were writing the book?
Well, I think that patriotism incorporates the others. I think patriotism incorporates loyalty, duty, and sacrifice.
Mhm.
And consequently, I, I tended to align the book to that main theme.
Mhm. So it starts with patriotism and everything else will just follow. I see. So Jubal is a highly capable soldier, but you also showed that he has an emotional and side, and also he has personal stakes. How did you develop that side of him?
You know, everybody in life are multifaceted. Nobody is just along one line and nothing else. I tried to make my characters humanized. I tried to incorporate in them human characteristics that all of us have.
Mhm.
People have likes, dislikes, love, interests that are varied. And consequently, that's the way I wanted to develop Jubal Chain and the rest of my characters. I wanted them to be human, and
Mhm.
consequently, it's the type of characters that I wanted to develop.
Just makes your characters easier. I mean, a lot easier to relate with, and it makes them more interesting for your readers as well because of the fact that they are very human, like you've said. Now, Mr. Dawson, you've also dedicated your book to those who have worn the uniform and served honorably. How does that dedication connect to the heart of the novel?
Jubal Chain, Matthew Sparks, uh, McIntyre, the rest of them all represent active duty military. Consequently, they, as well as everybody that has been part of military service, have taken the oath. The oath is to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, so help me God. And consequently, um, that is the theme that they are upholding at this with this book. Now, many other authors deal with military personnel differently, but mine kind of engages into the active military service.
Mhm. So, you yourself served in the army. How did your own army background shape the way you wrote Jubal Chain and the military world around him?
I was born into a military family. I am a third generation veteran.
Mhm.
My grandfather, my father, and my uncle all served previously. So consequently, military played a enormous part in my life to begin with.
And how did it help you when you were writing about, or I mean, when you were developing the Jubal Chain character?
I've been reading thrillers for over 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Such authors like Tom Clancy and Robert Ludlum and
Mm-hmm.
Frederick Forsyth and others. And so I've learned a lot from them from the standpoint of, you know, the facts that really make books readable,
Mm-hmm.
research, keeping the reader guessing, plot
Mm-hmm.
twists, and consistent action are all the things that draw a reader into the book. So, from that standpoint, um, my experience has been not only from military background and military life in military family, but also from reading those that have previously been very successful in that type of genre.
I see. You also had your own influences from those authors that you mentioned. So, one thing that also makes your book stand out is that it includes mission planning, weapons detail, rank structure, and intelligence procedure. How do you balance realism with keeping the story accessible and still moving?
Well, the military service of my family and myself played a large part in leading to my writing. But COVID played an even larger one.
Mm,
Uh, I was the main caregiver for my late wife, who was suffering from Parkinson's disease.
mhm,
And then COVID occurred. So I had a lot of time on my hands from the standpoint of not being able to go anywhere, not being able to go to the gym, not being able to play golf, not being able to go to the shooting range, etc. So I was kind of a house mouse.
mm,
And because of that, I had a theme in my mind for many, many years, but never the time to put it to paper. So I utilized that time not only to attend my wife, but also to start the Jubal Chain saga. And
mm.
so that's how it transpired.
I see. It's very interesting. So, you just, became very productive in those years, perhaps, or in that time when you were not able to really go about your way and do the things that you normally do because of COVID. That's interesting. So, aside from serving in the army, you've also worked in real estate development and then later as a government and history teacher. How did those life experiences shape your journey into fiction writing?
I've had various careers during my life. The main two have been real estate development. I owned a real estate development company and ended up selling it and retired at a fairly early age. I felt like I wanted to give something back, so I decided to go into teaching as a high school social studies teacher and football coach. And consequently, I spent 17 years doing that. But the difference between my stories and most of this genre are the fact that they're continuing. In other words, one story leads into the next and the next and the next. So when I wrote Exigent Measures, it was a continuation of Best When Served Cold, which, of course, has received the Literary Titan Book Award and several five-star ratings on Amazon. So that's pretty much the way it happened.
Mm-hmm. I see. So it's good that you mentioned that, since this is the second book. If we look at the story, how did your first Jubal Chain novel, Best When Served Cold, lead to Exigent Measures?
Well, the story wasn't finished with Best When Served Cold. Uh, I don't know how most writers do this, but when I write something, then more appears in my head. And then it's a way that I have to go through to define it and to put it on paper.
Mhm.
And then, um, it just grows from there. When
Mhm.
I first started writing Best When Served Cold, I had the overall thought, but I did not have any of the details. And the
Mhm.
details came one piece at a time. And that's the same thing with Exigent Measures. I knew
Mhm.
where I wanted to go, but not how to get there.
I see. So it just, I mean, everything else just fell into place as you started to work on exigent measures.
Yes, that's correct. And it also continues after Exigent Measures, which
Yeah.
we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, yes. So, um, after you have written and published Best When Served Cold, now you have exigent measures. When you were thinking of coming up with the second book, what did you want to do differently or more ambitiously in this next book?
Well, I wanted to dig deeper into the Jubal Chain saga. I wanted there to be presented a deeper threat. The first threat was on one particular mission that ended up expanding a little bit, but essentially it was one particular mission to right an egregious wrong. The second novel, Exigent Measures, actually expanded the threat to the United States, and consequently, that was what my effort to draw the people and readers into, the Jubal Chain novel series.
So, was there perhaps a particular chapter or scene that was especially difficult for you to write?
I think it was the scene or the chapters revolving around Lenore, Jubal's love,
Yeah.
and the problems, the situation concerning her abduction, and how to resolve that. That
Yeah.
that took a lot of thought, and it was kind of critical to the book also.
I agree. So it's really more on the emotional side because it's between Jubal and Lenore, and we know that Lenore is the main, the love of Jubal's life, like you've said. Okay, so um, Mr. Dawson, you said that this book is dedicated to the people in the military service. Now, what do you hope veterans, active duty service members, or even military families would notice and appreciate about your book?
Well, first, I think that anybody that serves in the military, whatever branch it happens to be, is a patriot. And I think that by reading this novel, they might pick out some parts of their service, some parts of their lives, something that they can personally relate to as a service member. And
Mm-hmm.
consequently, that's an offshoot of one of the things that I want them to pick up. I want them to feel a part of the novel, a part of the series, and to be able to relate to it on a personal basis.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how about for civilian readers? I know you started talking about this earlier that not a lot of people who are not in the military would know what really happens for people who lead military lives. Now, for civilians, what do you hope they better understand about the service, the sacrifice, or national security after reading your book?
Well, military service is not for everyone. And I believe most American citizens, regardless of their political affiliations, revere the United States. But these novels, I believe, expose to civilians the lengths that service members go to in order to protect their safety. I'm reminded of that one quote that comes from that movie with Jack Nicholson that says, you want me on that wall. It is something that I think is pervasive. Many citizens don't think about it, but when they do think about it, do they understand what is happening behind the scenes? That there are hundreds of thousands of service people who are
Mhm.
actually out there guarding our nation and guarding their freedom. That's what I hope they take away from it.
That's right. So when you read the book and you get to the ending, it leaves the sense that Jubal's fight is not finished. So, what can readers expect from future books in the series?
Well, my books continue with more challenges. I have completed but not yet published books 3 and 4.
Mhm.
Games Enemies Play is number 3, and The Last Bolshevik is number 4. And I'm currently halfway through my 5th novel that's entitled Iranian Uranium.
Mhm.
And I think that as the series goes on, people will become more ingrained in reading them because
Mhm.
it is a continuous type story.
Mhm.
The characters continue, and the storylines become a little deeper. And I think that that just increases the interest that readers will have.
That's right. So now everyone is excited about books 3 and 4, and then you're working on the fifth book. Um, can you already tell now how many books there will be in the series?
Still to be
Or
determined.
yes, that's great. So at least it gives us this idea that Jubal's adventures would still go a long way. Now, Mr. Dawson, looking ahead, you told us what we can expect next from the Jubal Chain series, but what are your goals as an author now? Do you still have some goals left that you would still want to work on?
I think, like any author, I would like to become a New York Times best-selling author, and I would like to be traditionally published.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's a goal for everybody that starts out writing as I did.
Mhm. Do you have plans, or did it ever cross your mind to write about something else, like probably not about the military and from other experiences you've had in your life?
I've thought about fantasy fiction, science fiction, that type of thing, but I don't think that's my forte. I
Mm-hmm.
think that what I am doing right now really comes from my heart, and
Mm-hmm.
consequently, that's probably the path that I will continue on.
Mm-hmm. Well, just go ahead and write as many books as you would want to write for the Jubal Chain series, and then take Jubal wherever you would want to take him in his adventures next. So, for our viewers and listeners who would want to purchase your book, where should they go?
Well, both books are available on demand at Amazon and also Barnes and Noble. And the second novel, uh, well, here it is. I'll show you. Exigent Measures is available also on Archway Publishing.
Mhm.
And if
Okay.
you read it, please give me a 5-star rating.
All right, so we've reached the end of today's episode. It's been an engaging discussion about military intelligence, national security, hidden threats, and of course, the continuing journey of Jubal Chain. A big thank you to D.A. Dawson for being our guest today and for taking the time to speak with us about his work and, of course, his writing journey. For everyone who'd like to enter Jubal Chain's world, Exigent Measures, The Head of the Serpent, a Jubal Chain novel by D.A. Dawson, is available in softcover, hardcover, and ebook formats through Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Archway Publishing's online bookstore, and other book retailers. Thank you for tuning in to the Author Roundup. We look forward to having you join us again for another conversation with today's authors. See you in the next episode.